Hey guys, it's Will from Tested. I'm back in Adam's shop for the second day of my desk build. This is another Tested project. If you didn't watch last week, well, first you could probably go back and watch that video because it's kind of interesting. In it, I break down a big sheet of plywood into all the components I need to make my wooden desktop. And then I do a couple biscuit joins. Didn't learn that much last week, but this week I've got to glue up the rest of the top, and you can see I have my sides here. Let's see, this is the show side. So they just slide on like this, and they're a little bit tight. I might bust out a little sandpaper and tighten them up a little bit, but I might just leave them as they are. I kind of like them a little snug. It'll make them glue better. I'm gonna do some more biscuit joins on either side here. And then I initially thought I was gonna build the wooden tray that goes inside this. But what I've decided after thinking about it is I'm gonna build the metal frame first and then come back and glue up the wooden tray in case I need to make size adjustments. Because that metal frame needs to fit inside here and the tray needs to fit inside it. So I'll build the outside first, then the next inside layer, and then the inside layer further on. I think that's the right way to go. I'm not entirely sure, but we'll figure out as we go, and if I make mistakes, then I make mistakes. As before, this video is brought to you by Tested Premium members. Thank you guys for giving us the resources and stuff that we need to do longer form videos in the shop more than we have been in the past. So without further ado, I guess I'm gonna get started. Okay, so I've got my trusty biscuit cutter here. The first thing I need to do is make the marks on the outside edges of the faces so that I know where to do the cuts once I disassemble my kind of mock-up here. So I'm gonna do that, do some biscuit cuts, get some glue, do the joins, clamp it all down, flip it around and do the other side. Whew. The cuts on the big pieces are really scary because if you mess up, you've got real problems. And I just messed up. Well, that's what wood filler's for. Okay, so these cuts are supposed to go up and down this way. Because, is that right? Yeah, because this piece goes into the side. I was sitting there thinking about it and I was like, this isn't exactly right. I'll just cut it anyway. Fuck it. Okay. I can't get that one because of the fence. Okay, so we'll do 2 big biscuits and call it a day on this side. That's enough, because with these guys it'll hold. I'll have to put some wood putty in the side where I cut there wrongly. Oops. Let's go clamp these guys up and do the other side. Okay, so lining this guy up, I might have to scooch this one a little bit. Is this the right side? Yeah. Second side. So with these, it's just real important that you go straight up, straight down, or straight down, straight up, and then don't wiggle side to side. That's all I learned making the shelves for my daughter a couple years ago. The next thing I'm going to do is actually put the clamps in place on one of the boards. I haven't decided which one. Probably, if I had to guess, it's going to be the top. But I need to find some shims or something to keep it from gouging, keep them from gouging up the top, because these are cheap clamps, and I don't want to mess up the surface of my desk. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is actually clamp the clamps in place on the desktop, and then use the vertical portion of the clamps as the track to make sure that this ends up staying square when I glue it in place. And I won't cinch this down until I put some clamps on the long side to hold it, you know, cinch it down against the actual glue. Make sure it holds when I cinch it down. And yeah, my line's really good. I can barely feel it. When I sand it a little bit, it'll go away, so that's perfect. Okay, I'm going to release these vertical ones. And then we're going to get our glue and biscuits and glue this side up. So a viewer actually taught me a trick after the first video, which we just posted today in our time. Your time, it was like 2 weeks ago. But once you put your glue on, you can run a bolt down the edge and it will spread it out the right amount so that you don't have too much glomping out after the stuff goes down, which is a wonderful trick if you're like me and spend a lot of time gluing and you almost always end up with too much glue and a messy cleanup. We get plenty of glue down in the slot, because this biscuit joint is what's going to give us a lot of our structural integrity. Okay, I got 2 biscuits here ready to go. I probably should have put a little bit of glue in these sides of the biscuit holes, which I'm going to do right now. Got sawdust down there, which I need to fix. Okay, that's probably good. Jam in my biscuits. They fit nicely, not too tight, not too loose. Line up the right side with the right side. Let's get the biscuits lined up first and my pass-throughs here. There we go, there we go. Okay, so now I'm lining up my edge, and then I'll cinch it all in place, both with vertical clamps and then finally with the biscuit joint. Nice thing about wood glue is it takes a while to set, so you have some time to kind of fiddle. Gonna need a little bit of sanding, but yeah, so I think we're good. How'd the inside do? Boy, I didn't make a mess at all on the inside. That's fantastic. So that's one side down. I'm gonna flip it around and do the other side. So I always test the biscuits in the slots before I start, because sometimes they swell up a little bit and you don't want to have glue on the board and then be trying to hammer the biscuit into place. Easier just to have one that fits perfectly, and they're so cheap that it kind of doesn't matter. Looks pretty good. So that's the top. Now, like I said before, I'm gonna go and do the scary part that I've never done before and do some metal working, welding and stuff. And then I'll come back and do the tray that goes in here later, hopefully after the frame is built and works great and looks awesome. Okay, so next thing to do is to cut some stock. Adam's bandsaw is set up for wood right now. I can't cut the steel tubing on it. It's too long anyway. So what I have here is a portable bandsaw. It's designed for people who are a little bit burlier than me. I'm going to give it a try and see if I can cut basically a 16-inch square-sided piece of this for the top frame. So that's the first place we're going to start. Ah, there we go. Do I have to just eyeball it? So the problem is I need to rig, when I do these long cuts, then the steel sags enough that it pinches the blade, and that's bad for everything involved. So what I need to do is figure out a way to rig up a support that's like right here, so it'll keep the whole thing balanced. I don't think I can move, anvil's actually less heavy than I thought. I don't think I want to get it down on the floor, but I could scooch it back out of the way a little bit if I wanted. So that might be just the easiest thing to do. Much better. Square cut too, that's good. So in a normal shop, I probably would have just used sawhorses and had it all lined up so it was all evenly supported throughout. But since this is Adam's shop, he doesn't have very many sawhorses, but he has a boatload of apple boxes, which is a thing that TV production companies use as kind of wedges when you need to make something higher or make something lower, so you put these things up all around it. I use a couple apple boxes and the first piece of steel I cut to balance this out so that when it gets all the way through, it just kind of falls apart nicely instead of making a big mess. Ow. Metal dropping on the floor is a super satisfying noise, but it's scary every single time. 5.5 inch. Okay, that was a lot of cutting. I wish I'd just done straight legs. It would have been a lot easier, but it's too late now. Each of these this is each of the side legs. This is the trusses that support each other and go up. The top of the desk is up there. This is the leg rest. Obviously the angles aren't exactly right, but that's the basic gist. It looks pretty right. I'm pretty pleased with how that looks so far. I feel like it might be a little short, but maybe it's just because I don't have things cut and ground right. I've done the rough cuts on the bandsaw. Stuff I learned, that portable bandsaw is really hard to get a straight 90-degree cut on. So I don't know how much grinding this is going to take. I have a feeling I'm going to be doing a lot of grinding. The next part is that it's easier to start at the end of the board, support it all the way out, and just cut off the end at the right length. That's the easiest way I found with the portable bandsaw, at least. I don't know how the big bandsaw works. I feel like probably a cold cut saw or even like a chop saw, if you wanted to make a huge mess, is probably a better choice for doing this and getting the right angles. But you use the tools you have. Here's the rest of the frame. So this is going to be what the desk rests on. I'm probably going to do this part first because I need to have this part done in order to do the next part. And have it make sure everything fits right. So I'm going to bring the desktop over here, which should be set up pretty good now with the glue, make sure it fits over, make sure I don't need to trim any off these long pieces before it's too late. So, but first I think it's time to get a burrito. Okay, I've got everything cut, more or less. It's all rough. I need to do a lot of grinding to get that stuff the way I need it, angles and faces and all that. But before I do that, I want to take a little bit of a break, have a little bit of fun, learn to weld. I've never done this before. I've read a lot of stuff online, watched a lot of videos, talked to some people. I got a pretty good idea of the basics, but as always, practice when rubber meets the road, practice makes perfect, whatever. So I have a couple pieces of scrap, and I'm going to start by grinding down the end here to get it nice and flat. And I'm going to try to do a right angle weld over here. So I'm just going to put a little bit of a bevel on the edges because it seemed important from everything I read online to leave place for the weld material to go, for the actual metal that we're putting in to fill in. Okay, I've got a jacket on. It's leather. It's not like a motorcycle jacket. I'm going to start welding. Before I do the work on my good pieces, I wanted to do some practice. So I have my leftover steel tubing, a couple pieces of scrap that I've ground down the edges on. I'm going to do some test welds. I've never done this before. I want to see how it goes. So here we go. Let's just get started. I've got safety gear. I've got a mask. It's on. I tested it. I've got gloves. I'm going to turn on the welder. It's all grounded, so I'm grounded here. I've got the table's grounded. I've got the work clamped to the table. I've got my other piece in the clamp, which I need to take out. I've got an angle here. I got a place to sit. I got to turn on the welder. I wonder how you turn on the welder. Oh, there's a switch. Gas. This is important. Lining up my work. That's the end I prepared. So I'm just going to tack this, and then I'm going to take it off, see what it looks like, put my gloves on, or put Adam's gloves on. This is serious. I feel like I'm getting ready to ride motocross or something. Ready? Holy shit. Wow, that is really ugly. That is a terrible, terrible bead. I'm gonna hold off for a minute, do a little wire brush work. I think that might have been my mistake. Okay, let's try again. And it breaks right off. So I'm not getting the welds into the seam. I'm going to do some more grinding on this so it's ready to go again, then practice some more. Holy shit. Every time I jump. That's definitely a little bit better. I got it tacked in place pretty good. It looks okay. I mean, it's not the best work anybody's ever done, but it's the right color. It seems like I filled in the gap pretty good. I'm gonna flip it over, try the other sides and do some more practices. I'll probably cut this piece off and and try welding it on further down, just, you know, for more practice. Definitely using the wire brush to clean off the area on both sides, took off a lot of this black stuff, and that made a big difference in my ability to get a good seal there. So it's good. I've cut a ton of square steel tubing. I have my top of my desk framed out here. I'm a little nervous about making all those angle cuts for the legs. Adam doesn't have the right stuff in the shop to cut angle metal. Like, it seems like a nightmarish amount of work to make all those angles at this point. I'm still gonna push forward and try it, but for right now I wanna build the 2 vertical supports that are gonna nestle in right here on either side of the desk and actually support the top. So the way the desk works is, the frame hits the ground, the top rests on the top of the frame, and then the drawer is gonna pull out from the lower part of the frame. So we're gonna build the outside box that goes here. Oh, hey, it fits, that's nice. Look at that. A couple of 5.5-inch pieces that are gonna come up here, and then there's another 16-inch piece that comes over across here. Now I need 4 16-inch pieces and 4 5.5-inch pieces, and they all need to be more or less the same, and they need square edges, which it turns out is a lot harder than it seems when you're using a portable bandsaw to do the cuts. So I'm gonna go back, put these all in the bracket with the angle grinder and go to work. Hopefully I'll be able to get some welding done before the end of the day, but let's, you know, sun's wasting. So I'm not sure if this is the right way, but this is what I would do if I was doing this with wood. I'm gonna put these 2 pieces that need to be the same length and the same squareness on the ends. I'm gonna clamp them in, and then I'm gonna grind them both at the same time. This could be a mistake, but I have enough extra metal left over that I can always redo stuff if I need to, even though I'd really rather not. That looks pretty square, and they're about even, so I can fix that with the weld, I think. I'm gonna go get the other 2 and make them even, and then I'm gonna do the 5.5s. We're out of time for the shop today. I learned a ton. Let's start at the beginning. I'm good at gluing corners. I've done a lot of that. It's those Tetris shells made corner gluing, something that I feel like I have some real proficiency in because I glued a million corners. The top of the desk is looking really, really good. I'm stoked with how it's turning out. I learned a lot about cutting metal today. I've never really done metal cutting on this scale before. This portable bandsaw, while handy, is not the best thing for getting a straight perpendicular cut. And as a result, I've also learned a lot about grinding. I did my first welds. I did some pretty good looking welds, and then I did some real horrors. I learned about adjusting speed. I found that for me at least, slower is definitely better than faster. I think Adam had this set for nuclear speed. I've been welding for 20 years, and I need something that lets me kind of shake and flinch the moment I pull the trigger and the spark blows. I think the hard part for me is going to be not flinching when you get that first pop and the shade darkens, and you're like, well, all of a sudden I can't see anything. What am I working on? I think my next step is figuring out a better way to shape these angles. Like the top square boxes, I don't think are gonna be that big a problem, but all of those bottom angles are like 58 and 101 degree angles, and it's gonna be really tricky to get them right and get both sides even. So I think I'm gonna have to build a jig or something. I don't know exactly how I'm gonna do that, but I think that's the next step. I might even take them into a water cutter or something like that and get the angles cut by a machine so that I don't mess it up any worse than I already have. So that'll do it for this week. As always, this has been presented by Tested Premium members. Thank you guys so much for supporting us. If you want to find out more about a Tested Premium membership, you can go to tested.com/premium. And we'll be back next week, hopefully with the exciting conclusion of this desk build. I don't know. We'll see. Have a good weekend, guys.